Hey guys, today we're changing the rear rotors and pads on a 2003 Ford F150. This one is lifted a lot, so you'll need a big jack like this one. I got it on the axle right here, lifted it up. Make sure you put some wheel locks in the front so the vehicle doesn't move. You'll need a 19mm to get the wheel off. I already did that. That's the most simplest part. Also, if you're dealing with wheel spacer, it's going to be on here like this on your original studs. So you're going to have whatever size it is. This one was a 19mm. Take these off and these, but sometimes they're different sizes depending on what type of nut is used. So now, if you look back here, you got 12mm bolt here and here to take this off. But first, we're going to pry the piston back so we won't even have to press it most of the time. You can do this. See, there's a piston. Just pry up against this until it's all the way in, and we can see that it is. Next, we will take these off, 12mm. Make sure you use 6 point. 12 point can strip the bolts easier. And we're going to pry it off. Look at that. Make sure to hold this up or set it somewhere. We're going to put on the axle for now. Next, we're going to take off this rotor, and you'll probably need a hammer to do so. This is your emergency brake. These are just shot, but they don't want that repaired, so we're going to leave it as it is. We're also going to put a new caliper in on the other side. I'll show you the basics of it, and then other YouTube videos will accommodate for what I didn't show you. You're going to need to clean your rotor off. They have a special coating on them. So use some brake cleaner like this. I had to grab another bottle because that one was empty. That'll do. That chemical off, or that covering, wipe it off, do the other side. And if it's more comfortable for you, you can set it on there and spray it. Next, clean this off as well. Careful not to get this stuff in your eyes. It's damaging. It can damage your eyesight or your lungs. Alright, we got that on. Now the past guy already put brake pads on this one. You can check, they're brand new. So we're going to go ahead and slip this back on. Just had to, he couldn't get the caliper off, the rotor off last time. Go ahead, make sure to press these back. This was done just the other day, so we're not going to need to lubricate anything. You'll want to clip the bottom side in first. Put the hook on here, onto that ledge, and just go ahead and press it in. Make sure these holes line up. Make sure your bolts are clean, and start them. Oops, sorry. Go ahead and tighten them. just like that. This one's good to go. Now we're going to put a wheel spacer back on. And this can be kind of tricky. We're going to have to wiggle it in there. Start it. Can't really put your hand down in there, so you have to use the socket. And you know, you're going to torque these to 90 foot-pounds, the same as you would. As if it did not have a wheel spacer. Okay, so I got the torque setting on this. The first setting is roughly what the sockets need. Make sure to tighten them all a little bit, just a tad, just a few clicks, or if you're doing it by hand, just hand tight, and then eat into them. Make sure it's even. I'm always very careful with the lugs. It's such a simple, a simple thing. Just put a few more seconds into it to make sure it's the perfect torque. Now we're going to put the wheel on. This is a pretty big wheel, and a lot bigger than your average ones. Hard to see, the sun's in my eyes. Alright. Now, this has special security nuts on it, which is an excellent idea. I mean, you can get a kit of these, make sure they're high quality. You get them pretty cheap. There's a special tool. They look like a spline. They're called spline security. And these rims are, goes on my papers. I'm going to go ahead and put this wheel on, and then we're going to move to the other side, and that's where we're going to put a new caliper on. So if you were just only looking brake pads and rotors, that's all you needed to see. Just make sure you put some grease on the parts where it needs to go. Alright, that side's done. Alto. Alright, so now we're moving to the other side. I'll show you a little in detail. Alright, so this is a Pittsburgh 3 tons, about 120 bucks. We got that for secondary support. And make sure this is tight all the way. And if you're using hand tools, loosen your nuts a few turns before you jack it up, otherwise your wheel will spin. If not, if you have power tools, then you just have to jack it up and the tool does everything for you. Alright, I'm having him take the tools over to this side. Now this wheel, you can see, is a lot dirtier. This one hasn't been taken off in a while. So it's pretty rusty. We're going to put it the... Alright, so about 1,000 foot-pounds. Yeah, there's no way. That's why he didn't change it, because he couldn't get it off. I just got this new kit. This is a Duralast from AutoZone. It's pretty decent. I used to have a bunch of Craftsman stuff, but the new stuff is so... If you accidentally drop your ratchet, you will destroy the lever, which I did a few times since I use them 60 times a day. Alright, got a wheel off. This is stuck on there. That actually moved the jack. That was pretty stuck on there. Sorry for the camera quality. You can see all that crazy rust. I mean, this rotor is insane. I have never seen anything like this. I'm actually going to stop the video and do a YouTube short just on this. Never ever have I seen that before. So this is a YouTube short, and well, I'll take it off first. Un momento. We took the wheel off, which you saw. Again, that is a 19mm. You can see how contagious this rust is. You saw the other wheel spacer? A new rotor, this was spotless, but once you get into this crazy oxidant, I mean, it's like a virus. Okay, now that we got all those off, make sure you have good gloves too. You don't want all this rust and stuff on you, or you can get stuff like this. Always pays to wear gloves and rinse it off and use lotion. If I can figure out how to put them back on. Alright, so like I said earlier, we're putting a new caliper on, new pads and rotors. I mean, this is the complete makeover for a car. This car is going to be so happy. We're going to kind of start off the back. Alright, so I got my pliers. And we'll come over here. You put the caliper on the other side, you had the hose going up. On this side it's going down, which I don't really care about. I'm just here to make sure it doesn't leak or anything. So now we're going to go ahead and break off this piece. I'm going to turn it to the right a little bit to break it free. Sometimes this will break. So I'll act like I'm tightening it just a little bit. And then it comes right off. And this thing's crazy rusted. Let's get my locks on. Boom. Just like that. Then we're going to clean this off in a bit when we get back to it. And this is the original Ford stock rotor. I'm also going to clean up all this brake fluid, so don't worry about that. Also, don't forget to open your reservoir before pressing your caliper back, which I already did. Now I need to find my screwdriver. The sun is in my eyes perfectly. And we're not using this rotor, so we don't care if it breaks or anything. We just want this thing off. So I got a little loose, which will be plenty. Alright, put it in that little rotor bag. You come over here and we'll see the rotor itself. It is stuck on there like crazy. 4-pound hammer. Just like that. And you know, this thing at the auto parts store is like 30-40 bucks. I got this for $12 at Harbor Freight, lifetime warranty. I even break the fiberglass one sometimes because how much aggression is needed to get her completely just, I mean, this thing is scary, dangerous. This thing probably gets so hot, I'm surprised his brake fluid hasn't caught on fire, which is pretty rare to happen. Now we'll use our box, catch all the other rust, clean this thing up. Look at that, just from brake fluid. And this is, I mean, you should share this video. This is crazy. This is 1 out of 500 brake jobs. That's insane. Make sure your friends see this so they don't let this happen, because they could easily die. Truck catch on fire. I mean that gets so hot it could destroy your wheel bearing. Crazy. Alright, go ahead and clean this once again. I'll show you the other trick to it. So I cleaned that side. Clean this side. This is what a lot of shops will do. They'll just put it on backwards. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Not really clean, just make sure that coating's off so your brakes work. Okay, we'll hit it a little bit to get all this rust out. That's insane. So we'll clean this out so we can get her. This thing's already empty. That's a lot. Alright, here's our new caliper. And this thing's a baby. Original one was too. They're the same spec really, just it's very small for a lifted truck. These newer ones are pretty flimsy. A lot of these new ones are no good. These old ones look really tough. I mean, they're dirty, but they're not even damaged at all. So I'm going to keep the bottom one on. Just cleaned it up. Once I cleaned it a little bit, that old grease kind of goes back up to the top. Now we'll put the top one on. Clips in, just like that. Tap it with a hammer. Now we'll get our brake pads and our grease, which see the brake pads. All right, just like that. Clips right in. My apologies, I put the one on wrong. Clips right in. I'll go get the grease real quick. Alright, I'm just using a screwdriver. Getting grease on your gloves means you have to pretty much buy a new pair every time it happens, unless you're using latex. And Those latex just don't really protect the hands like they should. Alright, this one's pre-pressed in. That's the cool part about getting new things. So now we'll press all the way back. Make sure the latch on the bottom is good. Okay. Now, this one came with a new copper washer and a new bolt for the hose. So let's look at the old one, see how it goes on. Well, it looks like the bolt and everything dropped. I'll steal that old washer off the top, like this, put it through. See where that other washer went. Alright, now be gentle when you put these on. You don't want to tighten them too much. A little bit more than hand tight is good. You just want to picture lifting about 12 pounds. That's the about the pinnacle of goodness for these. Got a bunch of stuff to clean up in a bit. Just kind of tighten a little bit, go slow, because these washers imprint into the steel. Just kind of turn. It'll feel the same for a bit, then it get a little bit harder, like that. That's when it gets nice and tight. We'll do it one more time, just for good measure. Just like that. Get this off the bleeder. Just broke my nail, but things on there pretty good. Thing is crazy on there. There we go. All right. Should be I believe it's a 3/8. We'll just loosen that. Take this off and we'll kind of let these fill up for gravity. Let me go make sure that caps off the reservoir. I'll be right back. Un momento. So I'll put some more fluid in the reservoir. So while we're putting these bolts on, it will gravity bleed a little bit. They kind of fill up the piston, just a tad. It's not really necessary, but helps us save a little bit of time. Don't tighten those too tight. And I did lube these up earlier. I took them out the bag. These bolts need to have some grease on them so they slide well. Now all we have to do is bleed it. So there's other YouTube videos that just go over that completely. Pretty much what it is one person will be here with this, and when they're pressed on the brakes, this thing will be closed, because this is a release valve. You know, when it's open, it lets out fluid, like a faucet in your house. So when it's closed, they'll press the brake pedal a bunch of times till it gets hard. You know, when it goes down, it stops, and then you'll continuously press on it. And then when you let this open, all that pressure will just push through here, and the air is the first to come out. So you do that a few times until you don't really see any, you don't hear any bubbly squirt, you know, squirty noises, and it'll look like a straight stream of brake fluid. Once it's like that, that means this has been properly bled, and the back isn't as important as the front. It gives you about 30% of the braking. So when doing the back, just don't be worried as much as you would be in the front. Make sure this is tight all the way, and put the rubber boot back on. That keeps it from getting rusted, and then you'll be good to go. I'm gonna have to explain to him off video how to bleed it, so it'd be too difficult for me to video it, but you can easily find this on YouTube how to do it. I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.